Good morning, Martin. Thank you for joining me and thank you for agreeing to be interviewed about your new role as Executive Director. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank
So
you.
to begin with, can you tell me a little bit about your experience and your journey, how you got to where you are now and your current role as Executive Director?
Right. Within FIECON or also outside FIECON?
Also outside, so like how you got here, your journey.
Right. So basically, I'm a molecular biologist by training. However, like many of us, I didn't want to work in the lab. So I already did a master in science and business management to broaden out. And since basically nobody could explain to me how pharma works, which for me was the industry idea, and getting back from the lab, I joined consulting. So in order to get experience across the board. And basically, in consulting, the thing that was really booming where I joined was pricing and market access. So naturally, I got a lot of work on that, even though I pushed to also work in Salesforce strategy, etc. And yeah, I did consulting for 6 years, but then wanted to move into industry and worked here in Barcelona for a while in industry. I
Who
actually
did you work
never
for in
thought
Barcelona?
at Almiral. So yeah, I worked at Almiral, and before that, the majority of my career I worked at IQVIA. I never thought I was going to go back into consulting, and I said only under two conditions. If the people are really nice and approachable, and if the consultancy is set up in a way that people are not treated like a resource. Um, so I actually, by via contact with Lawrence, I got in touch with FIECON, and I got a really good impression. So I kept interviewing, and at the end it turned out. So now I'm already here for 3 years and nearly 3 years. And yeah, it's exactly like I described. People are treated like people, which I find is really important. There's a great culture. I started as a director in the business, and now I'm executive director on the business. So I can even take care more of people. Impressed by the high quality that people do all across the board. And yeah, I'm very happy to be here. It's a very nice place to work.
Good, I'm glad to hear that. So could you explain a little bit about how your role as an executive director, what that actually entails, if you know how that role came about, the change at FIECON?
Right. So first of all, if you know consulting, you know there's one challenge. As the team grows, the culture gets lost and the individual touch gets lost. So what we did at FIECON is divide the company in three. And these are three equal parts. Each part is capable of doing all project types. We didn't want to do it by area to avoid any siloing. So we have three mini FIECONs within FIECON. And naturally, each of that team needs a leader. That's why we created the executive director position. And yeah, I'm lucky and happy to be one of them. So basically what that means is I'm removed from projects as much as possible, mostly as strategic advisor if needed. And I really take care of the team, that everybody is working on things they like, that the team has enough work to do, that our clients get the quality they need, that we develop new offerings to our clients that are what's needed, and that we innovate, even though it's a buzzword, I'm aware, but that we really challenge ourselves in can we do better? And you just need that figurehead that is not in the business and not into the weeds so much, so that we can get that oversight and do things differently, basically.
Sounds good. And how do you envisage your particular experience, so your background in consulting and in industry and your leadership style? How do you think that's going to influence FIECON's culture and the direction that the company takes?
Well, my leadership style is really enabling people and not getting into the weeds and telling them exactly what to do, and also not, if not needed, picking it up myself. So people are challenged to think and come up with solutions themselves. I think that's very much in line with what we want to achieve, as in we always want to deliver the practical and not be limited by the technical. And also it's helpful in a way because as I don't get too much into the weeds, I can have that top level picture that I just described and challenge the way that things are done. Because sometimes an example is you do certain things for several years over and over again, and forget the why you're doing it that way, and it becomes I do it because I've already done it that way. And you need to have that capability of realizing I'm only doing this way because I've already done it this way, but there are many ways of doing it. And maybe our clients need a different approach.
Excellent. Thank you much. So that really kind of brings you on to a possibly same sort of question, but how do you think that FIECON can stay adaptable?
By having a very close dialogue and trust with our customers. So that means that they actually share what they liked and what they didn't like. And by that, together, we can define what their real needs are and give them something new. So that's one thing. And also the other way, that's the pull from the market. The other thing is more like internally challenging ourselves, understanding what are the major changes. So one example, of course, is artificial intelligence. And what does that mean for us, right? Also, where is a delta between what we want to provide and what we can provide? So if there are any challenges on projects, as in we would like to also recommend XYZ, but that is not something we currently do, discuss that through me in the management board to see is this something we want to go into, so that we can have a more holistic offering, or is this something that we say, no, that actually really is not our wheelhouse, and hence we will stay out of that. So those are the kind of discussions we need to have at the management board level, and then help the team in having the guidance and the capabilities they need.
I think you were talking there so really about possibly upskilling. So if there is something that we're missing, and we want to move into that area. So there are, obviously you mentioned AI and innovation. Can you think of any other things that you think are kind of up and coming that we need to look out for, or your sort of predictions for what are going to be the key trends in the life sciences?
Yeah. So as background, I do global pricing strategy. So I think quite globally, right? And what I see there is, and this is really actually towards our skill set already, is that cost effectiveness becomes more important. Spain sometimes even now sees it as a must-have in their assessments. Italy have formally included it, etc. So that is one, and that's already playing towards our advantages. With that comes also, of course, a certain understanding of uncertainties that currently exist or at the time of launch exists that lead to another area that has been ongoing for a long while, but more and more and more will keep being implemented, which is real-world evidence. To get data after launch from the market. And I say after launch because that's the most practical in most cases, to show the real performance, I shouldn't say, but the performance of your product in the market. And yeah, sense check, pressure test that against actual clinical practice, right? There's of course opportunities here as well with early access that you gain some insights, but since early access is limited, so that means access, having the drug in the market actually before it's approved, but there are limitations in time and what you can collect or not, burden on clinicians. So there are limitations, but that is another one that is important. And third one, of course, is if we're talking about the US, there's a lot of claims databases, there's a lot of data available there that in Europe is not as consistently gathered. So especially talking about the US, there's a lot of possibilities there as well, with the caveat that US data in Europe is not always that accepted. So that's why I took it a bit separate from the others.
Thank you very much, Martin. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me.